Trust is built by repeated experiences over time. So if you give kids a good experience, they learn to trust you a little bit more. If you're true to your word, they learn to trust you a little bit more. If you do what you say you're going to do, they learn to trust you a little bit more.
614 Headsets is proud to be sponsored by Fundraising University Ohio. Fundraising University Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts that helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach their fundraising goals. Fundraising University Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. Brent Maxwell with Fundraising University will sit down and help you strategize and execute your fundraiser. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent at the letter B Maxwell at fundraising.net or 740-501-8946 to learn how you can get started with fundraising.
It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
But eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to 614 Headsets, the weekly podcast where we say strategy meets story. We're your hosts. We're three high school coaches from Columbus, Ohio. We're committed to bringing you great football content that's both entertaining and educational. Sometimes I don't know which side you're getting out of us, but we hope you're getting something from it. So, boys, how are we doing this week? How's everything been?
Life's good. You already know we're running it. Hey, the last night was perfect. The baby slept from 8 to 4, woke up 4:30, fed till 4:30, and slept again until 8. Amanda said, "Best night ever."
That's a godsend, man. That's God throwing you a bone right now.
One,
Tonight's going to be terrible.
Don't do it. Don't do it. See, I knew that was coming because I know Kyle. I knew that was
going to be
coming.
Get it in there.
He's his negative Nancy ass.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Huh?
Donnie.
No, it's been a good week. Sun's been shining. It's been a beautiful week outside. Yeah, it's been good. Great episode coming up too. I think everybody's gonna enjoy this episode. I know we'll get into the details a little bit, but this was one of my favorites so far that we've done.
It's an interesting episode because we both tried to book him and he wouldn't text you back, but he would text Ryan back. Viewers, you get a little bit of a backstory and how everything went down for this. So that's great. But hey, make sure you subscribe. We'd really appreciate, hey, take out your phone, take a second, give us a rating on whatever you're listening to us on. We really want to continue to help try to grow what we're doing and reach more people and just celebrate football and celebrate Central Ohio football around the world and everybody else that we talk to as well. So help us out. We would really appreciate it. It only takes a second, helps us grow, helps us reach more people. Donovan, what are we getting into in episode 70?
Kyle, hold on. So what does your hat say?
It says just duo it.
Oh, just duo it. Okay.
Yeah, just duo it.
I know it's a complex thing to think.
Donnie, do you know what duo is?
Yeah, I know what duo is.
Okay.
I bought. Hey, I'm such a great boss. I bought Donovan one and my tight end coach one. Take care of my guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about me?
You're not on my offensive staff.
You're respectful. Go ahead, Donnie.
We got a great episode today with Coach Matt Merritt, running backs coach at the University of Miami. Connections from me as my student teacher when I was in 7th grade 15 years ago and coached for Sayers at ODU. So we're getting all into building a culture within a unit. I think this is one we've talked about for a while, but specifically looking at unit culture, unit success, kind of unit intangibles from his perspective and his running back group. So we got a great episode today. I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
It's making sense now that I know why he didn't text you back. He had you as a 7th grader. You had to have been terrible. He probably hated you. And the moment that text message came through,
I'm telling you right now, Kyle, knowing Donnie, he was the teacher's pet.
He loved us. He was great. We were a great class. We were his first class ever.
I'm not talking about the whole class. I'm talking about you were the guy they called Brown Nose.
Always seeking approval. I believe it.
Donnie was the kid in class. Are you collecting the homework tonight?
No.
All right. Hey, You know what time it is, though, all right? It's time for the locker rocker time. Football coaches, listen up. You spend hours in the weight room and on the field pushing your athletes to be their absolute best, but are they fueling their bodies with the right supplements to maximize performance and recovery? Max Effort Muscle provides safe, trusted, and effective supplements designed specifically for athletes, trusted by Division I strength coaches and top college programs across the country. Their lineup includes everything your team needs to train harder, recover faster, and perform at their peak, from whey protein, amino recovery, to Sayer's favorite creatine right now, and NDR Hydrate.
Football is won in the trenches. Don't let poor nutrition be the weak link in your program. Reach out to them today and get your team on Max Effort Muscle. They work with pretty much any team, regardless of size, any budget that you could think of. Visit maxeffortmuscle.com and email Tyler Treadway. His email is treadway@maxeffortmuscle.com to learn more about team pricing, partnerships, and get a custom package ready for your team today.
So it's me this week, right? It's for me. I've been in a new book this offseason, one I've been wanting to read for a while. Been The Score Takes Care of Itself, Bill Walsh. Ryan, that's a classic legendary coach, in case you didn't know who that was.
I'm
back in
I
the
feel like I would have been.
I'm older
So
than
that's-
Donnie.
Yeah, but
I feel like I would have been more likely to not know him.
But I feel like Donovan
not even on
probably
the
knew
offensive
who
side.
it was, where I felt
Remember?
like you wouldn't have. So
Well,
that's why I said it.
I'm not on your offensive staff, so don't start throw shots at me because
Okay.
you didn't give me a hat.
Okay. I've got 16 hats in my car.
All right, go ahead, hurry up.
Waiting for you to come get some. All right. And it's been a book I've been wanting to read for a while. It's a lot about leadership and the process and standards. And I'm still early in it, but there was one quote that the moment I heard it, I had to stop and write it down. And it was a time Bill Walsh was given a speech to a group. And he talked about there's a significant price to pay to be the best. Right? Like when you enter into anything that you're passionate about or what you want to do, you have to understand if you're going to get to be the best or get to that top percentage, like you're going to make sacrifices along the way. Right. And I think that's really important for us to hear as coaches. All of us, some of us are parents, and we know that sacrifice that goes into what you sacrifice time with your family and what that means with coaching. Or right now, you might be an athlete and you're listening to us and you're thinking about how hard workouts are, the time, or other things you could be doing with your time. And just remember your why, and it takes what it takes. Right. And if you are going to be great at anything, and I feel like if you're going to do something, you might as well try to be great at it, or you're wasting your time. Just know that there's going to be a price to pay, right? You got to pay the piper.
I love it. Especially this time of year. We're about to be getting into it.
Yeah.
So, and it's honestly, you have to make sacrifices in this high school game, in the college game, in the pro game. Like there, and I think as high schoolers, and this is the battle we're fighting right now, is you're going to work the rest of your life. I've already worked double the amount that I was in high school. Like I've been coaching or out for at least 8 years now. For me, that's what we've been battling with our kids. Sacrifice working right now. And let's get to it.
I don't know if that math adds all the way up, but it's a good sense.
Mr. Miami with the math, killing the
No,
vibe.
I was doing it in my head, but it was good.
Yeah,
response.
around there, close. It's been 7. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to chop you down.
Why
man.
do you always have to do
I'm more of a motivator,
You're
and that's what this segment's about, is about motivating people to be their best. We don't need your negativity.
I shame people into being their best. It's more powerful.
That's interesting, because this is why all of us need this episode coming up about developing a culture. We need some culture in this show that we have. Let's get into this today.
Perfect lead. Excited for this episode tonight, man. Episode 71. I got one of my previous coaches, Coach Merritt, who climbed the college ranks super fast and did an amazing job for us at ODU. It was one of the best special teams dudes ever. He come in with his face painted. He'd be jacked up, and then he gave us all bandanas. I still got the bandana up in my closet right now. I'll never give it up. And then the special units little card that he gave us, the special forces. But now he's the running back coach at University of Miami, or the U, right? The big U. Coach Merritt, talk about where you've been in your journey, man.
Man, it's been a unique one, to be honest with you. So going back to the beginning, I played at Capitol, was a Crusader. I know they're the Comets now, but it's still the Crusaders. Played there. I got done playing in 2009 was my last fall playing. So like our last game was November. I wanted to coach. I went to the head coach's office. At the time it was Coach Stanford. I was like, I want to coach. And literally I finished playing on a Saturday, and the next Saturday I was hosting recruits, like giving them tours of campus. So like literally went straight into it. Did that for a year while I was finishing school, and then decided to branch out on my own. Emailed, I think, every high school in Central Ohio, all the Catholic schools, and then all the big schools. Literally just emailed everybody. Like, this is who I am. Play running back cap. I want to coach. And had a few schools hit me back. Western North hit me back. The Sales hit me back. St. Charles hit me back. Ended up interviewing a bunch of places, and I ended up going to St. Charles and was there for 2 years. And then while I was coaching there, every summer, this is back in the day, you can't do that anymore, which is a shame. Back in the day, high school coaches were allowed to work the summer camps at all the colleges. So obviously Ohio State always had their big camp every year, and there's thousands of kids, and they always needed guest coaches. I was able to get in there and work as a guest coach while I was coaching high school ball. And at the time, the running back coach there was a guy by the name Stan Drayton, and I pretty much used those camps as an interview and was coaching my ass off every single camp, every single time I was there, doing whatever I had to do. And you fast forward doing that for 2 summers in 2013. At this point, I'm a middle school teacher at Horizon Science Academy over on Morse Road, Morse in Cleveland. And Coach Drayton comes up to me and is like, hey, my intern just left. I was looking for a replacement. I wanted to know if you'd be interested in working here. And I was like, you mean coach here? He was like, yeah. I was like, yes. On the spot, yes. You need to talk about your family, what's not paid, as intern, you're going to have to pay for school. And I said, don't care. I didn't want him to give a chance to go talk to somebody else. So I said yes. That was 2013. Worked my way up to GA there 3 years later, the year after we won a national championship. And from there, then was able to finally get my own ring for the very first time. Went to ODU where I met you, Ryan, and did the special teams there, coached the running backs, and absolutely loved it, had a great time. And from there, met Coach Signetti, who was a head coach at Elon at the time. He brought me down to Elon in the same role, coach the running backs there, did special teams. We did that for 2 years, flipped the program around. They had won like 6 games like that over the span of 4 years or something like that. And our first year, we won 8 in a row, went to the playoffs the first time in however long. And in the year 2, which was a big year for us, had a lot of momentum into the year. We went up to JMU. At the time, JMU was, aside from North Dakota State, JMU was the program in FCS, and they hadn't lost a conference game in 4 years or something crazy like that. Hadn't lost at home in like 20-some games, whatever the record was. We went up to JMU and beat them. And then you fast forward to the end of the season, their head coach from JMU leaves, and then they hire the whole Elon staff. We go up to JMU, spend 2 years there, coaching the national championship, which we regrettably lost. And then from there, have really been like every year moving in a crazy way. Everything has been a step up, but it's all been a blessing. I went from JMU to Tennessee as a senior analyst. From Tennessee, I went to Georgia Southern and coached the running backs. There for a year. That was in 2022. And then I went to USF to go with Coach Golish, where he made me the running back coach, associate head coach, loved it there. And then got the opportunity now, a little bit over a year ago, Coach Cristobal called me and asked if I'd be interested to come and work at the U. And a place like the U is incredibly special, was a no-brainer to me. And I got here in February of 2024 and just finished year 1 and fired up to go into year 2. But it's been a crazy journey from when I started coaching in 2010 until now. And I find myself incredibly fortunate. I guess how fast I've been able to climb the ladder, but I've had a bunch of really influential people along the way that have helped me get there.
Coach, the real question is, how much of your stuff is still in boxes? That's what I want to ask. Is everything packed out of the boxes, or is there a room where there's still some stuff packed up for now?
I'm literally looking at boxes right there. It's got a TV in it, some frames. There's some boxes over there, my shadow boxes. And then the garage, half of it is still boxes.
Yeah, so, I knew it. At what point do you feel comfortable to unpack those bad boys?
Right about now. Spring break is next week.
Yeah,
so
there you go. He's got it. Here we go. We're going to unpack some of these. So, Coach, that's awesome, man. I know you got a connection to both these guys. I appreciate meeting you at the clinic and coming on here. That's a phenomenal journey. It's a crazy fast climb. Proves that it doesn't matter where you start, right? It's just about relationships, and anybody can reach the goal that they want to. I'm excited to learn a little bit more. Let's get into this next segment, Ryan.
The best segment of them all. The Pick Six segment is powered by Story Rivals. Sports, media, championships, friendships, and life lessons are among the most meaningful parts of the athletic competition. They are passionate about preserving them by offering the most unique highlight experience available.
That's right. And Story Rivals delivers your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now and for a lifetime. Story Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. Contact them by email at info@storyrivals.com. Also, a great time to reach out to them as everybody's setting up their college showcases. Reach out, set up your gear for your players. It's a great shop. We used them last year. Our stuff turned out great. Highly recommend them. You guys won't be disappointed. Let's get in this, Ryan. You got the first question, Coach. You don't know this. You're going to get 6 random questions from us. You don't know what they are. They're not bad, I promise. They're pretty straightforward today. Right. Ryan was on eggshells, so we had to be careful. So here we go.
Hey, I don't want to make Coach Merritt mad, but here's my first one. What top 3 superpowers would you have if you had to choose? If you could choose your top 3 superpowers?
There you go. Spit it out.
Flying, invincibility, and
we said in my class, invincibility is like not you. That's not even a fair one though. We were talking about
fine. Fine. How about that?
Invincible, you're like immortal then, right?
True. Then how about this? Like the ability to fly, awesome. To run really fast, awesome. And honestly, the ability just to teleport wherever I want to go, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, like the jumper style. Dude, I'm reading the question you have on the script and it's not coming out what you wrote down. And I'm thinking we're going to get ready to start talking about Cubanos or Cafecitos, all the great things in Miami. And then you split up the superpowers. All right.
Okay. We were in class today. And we were talking about it, and I told our kids, I was like, what? I said flying, teleportation, and then also being like a water bender. That's what I told them that I would want to be.
What are you, a Pokemon?
What? You know what I mean? That would be cool.
Like, all right, Captain Squirtle. Let's get to it. All right.
Your vision to see through everything. And then one of my kids was like, that's being like a pervert, Coach. I was like, all right, never mind. I don't want that one.
Squirtle Sayers. All right, here we go.
Coach, my first question for you. So you look at all the stops in your journey so far. What's been the most impactful to you so far in your coaching career? If you could name one.
Man, it's hard to pick one. I guess the obvious one would be the 3 years I got to spend with Coach Urban Meyer, especially early on in my journey. When I was there, I would have been 25, just really going into my 4th year coaching, first year really in college. Really those 3 years with him there and that staff there and everything we were able to accomplish and just being able to see what it really takes at the highest level. Obviously helps winning the national championship in 14. Was probably the most impactful. That's really, if I had to describe it in a way, you have all these ideas floating in your head all over the place, and my time there really helped me zero in on it so I could go in one direction, organized thinking as opposed to just thoughts all over the place. So it was probably that time, my 3 years there working with Coach Meyer.
This inspired me to throw a pivot. You know what I'm thinking? So you're with Coach Meyer. You're there as a student assistant GA for some time. And I've been a GA before too. And I know you catch some stray bullets. I know there's a scout card not drawn up right, or you don't got somebody lined up right. Tell me the best stray bullet or a time Coach Meyer just teared into you.
Oh man, one of those days we're in season. It's long out. First of all,
as a GA, dude.
First of all, I'm gonna preface with this, and anyone that's worked for Coach Meyer understands this. Coach Meyer is the receiver guy. I was the receiver GA. You're already held to a different standard. I love it obviously, but I heard this one time in an offensive staff meeting. I did one of these, just dozed off for a split second, and he just lit me up. It was brutal, like just dozing off, and just. It wasn't a pleasant conversation.
That life's a hard life. People don't realize GA life, all those extra hours putting the cut-ups together, staying late, sleeping in the building. People don't realize a lot of caffeine goes to. I knew you caught a stray bullet, though, because we've all been there. If you're a GA, you have caught the stray bullet at some time for something not being right or doing something wrong. And so I had to ask it.
Yeah, there ain't no doubt. That comes with it, so that's all right. It's a funny story now.
Coach Merritt has so much juice. I didn't think this dude slept. I'm surprised to hear you were dozing off at one point. So my next question, Coach, is for you, obviously you've been coaching for a long time. If I asked you right now, what's the most memorable moment in your coaching career? If you just look back right now, what is it?
Winning a national championship, by far. It's just we all coach to win, right? We all play to win. And to win it at the highest level of college football is just the highlight of my career so far. But once you win one of them, it's addicting, and all you think about is just getting back to it. And I came close at JMU, the FCS ranks, and that loss still haunts me to this day. But the fact that I've been in 2 finals itself, I feel extremely grateful for. But that year in 2014 was the most memorable, winning national championship. That's what you play for.
I'm gonna pivot a little bit too. We've talked a little bit about the national championship. So Ohio State just won national championship this year. You look at this team from this year versus that 2014 team. As much bias aside as you can, which team's winning? They played each other head to head.
2014.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before. I've said
Yeah.
the same thing. I think that 2014 team was just built different, especially in the trenches and the running game ahead. I just think I agree. That's what I would say.
I think the Urban Meyer factor would be real, very real.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would agree with that.
Coach, last question, changed it up a little bit, right? At Miami, Cam Ward had an amazing year this past year. NFL draft just finished. How did Cam Ward impact the Miami football program and the building back up of the U that you guys had? And what do you expect from him in the NFL moving forward?
Man, Cam is just an incredible leader, and he is if you don't know him, you can make an opinion of him based on what's in social media and how he goes back and forth with Shador, but he's actually an extremely, incredibly humble young man that all he just wants to do is work. And from his leadership and how he interacts with the players, the way he motivates guys, the way he holds guys accountable, the way he's able to work with the coaches. The dude was in the building every morning at 5 a.m., like consistently, like taking care of his business, watching film. Sometimes he'd argue that he watches more film than the coaches does. So just what he helped bring to it, a little bit of swag back, at least offensively too, but just his leadership and really showing the young guys what leadership looks like and being able to take full responsibility for the good and the bad was really priceless. And he also has that, what I like to call the Tom Brady factor. Like, it got to a point where it didn't matter what the score was, we're going to win because we have this guy. At the next level, I think he's going to thrive for the simple fact that, yes, he's got the arm talent and he's got the IQ, but he's extremely resilient mentally. Like, things just don't phase him at all. Makes a mistake, doesn't matter. Things aren't going right, doesn't matter. Doesn't phase him. He's just always focused on the next play every single time. So I'm excited for him. Call me buyers or not. I think he's the first overall draft pick. I don't see why you wouldn't take him. I think he's a kind of guy that, which was proven last year, can change a program and can change a franchise. And again, he's one of the most incredible, humble young men I've ever met who is just that incredibly talented.
Bonus question, where's he go?
If he goes first, it'd be the Titans.
All right. Definitely stock riser. A lot of guys talking about him.
Hey, and people talking about the Cam, him and Shador going back and forth, like that's just because they're on that level. Like everybody's gonna have a camera on them. Every person does that plays football, right? They just talk trash to each other. So when I read the comments, I'm like, it's just because they're on camera. Everybody does that. Like,
yeah, you talking about where they were on the field throwing. He's talking like all you do is throw. Yeah, that's
yeah. People are like, "Oh, he's not humble."
Sure.
Like disrespect. I was like,
nah.
If you were in any college football program or room or anything like that, and you were on camera every day, that's how it is.
That was locker room talk, and you know, there's a large percentage of the world that can't handle locker room talk. But like people have been in a locker room, just realize that's how you talk. That's how it goes. But let's get into this, man. We've learned a lot about Coach. We picked up some interesting bits of falling asleep in meetings, and maybe his juice isn't quite where it is. So let's hope he stays awake for us. It's a late night tonight. Let's go.
All right, main topic for tonight is developing culture within a unit. Of course, the main topic of today's show is sponsored by First Down Playbook. First Down Playbook is the nation's leading playbook and play design software with over 35,000 professionally drawn, editable team plays with notes and full playbooks start from to be on your way to getting an edge over the competition. First Down Playbook can be your entire team management system with practice schedules, scripts, custom quarterback wristbands, and more. Use the code headsets25. You get 15% off what's already the most affordable option in today's game. The link is in our show notes. It's all over our Twitter. It's pretty hard to miss if you're looking for ways to get involved with First Down Playbook. Coach, just starting off within your unit at the U, within your unit at Miami, do you guys have kind of building blocks, a set standard or pillars, just kind of key principles when it comes to what your unit is in terms of culture, in terms of play style, how you conduct your business? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. In my room, and this is something I've carried with me ever since I started coaching. Our mantra is the acronym EAT, which just stands for effort, attitude, toughness. Everything is built around really those three words for the primary reason of it translates to every aspect of your life: football, real world, how you are as a father, friend, a husband, whatever. And the whole concept of it is like effort, attitude, and your mental toughness is all controlled by you. So the very first thing we ever talk about with the guys is that part of it, and trying to, as football players, establish ourselves as the hardest working guys on the field, in the locker room, in the weight room, with the best attitude at all times, regardless of what's going on, with the mental toughness to do things right all the time, to do things a certain way all the time, even when you don't feel like it, or really, especially when you don't feel like it, and to do it like that in everything that you do. Even in the classroom, sure, a lot of guys don't like going to class, but guess what? You got to go to class and you got to do things right. So you're going to go there, get great effort, going to tackle with a great attitude, and you're going to show up and do it the right way all the time. So everything is built around that. And then it bleeds into everything else. From a football side, I want people to turn the film on and think that, or say that the running backs at the U are the hardest playing guys on the field, that no matter who's on the field, that they perform, whether they got the ball in their hand or not, that they have that mindset that they're going to eat every single play. So when I build the culture in that room, it really starts with that. And then from there, really try to bleed it over into the group as a whole, where we're trying to build a brotherhood. And that word is so overused in sports, right? But trying to get them to understand that everyone in the room wants to play. There's usually just one of us on the field at a time, but it takes every single one of us in here to thrive, because we're going to feed off of each other, going to hold each other accountable. If I'm doing my part, I'm pushing you. If you're doing your part, you're pushing me, and together we're making each other better. So build it all around the concept of eat and a brotherhood, and it goes from there.
Which I think this is a good question. You're leading into one we had written down too, about a lot about developing a culture within a unit is relationships, right? Player to player, coach to player. This is the first time we've talked about developing culture within a unit. We've done some culture things on here. We wanted to really dive in with terms of like in the unit, because I think it can be pretty special how you could really dive in and be intentional with it. So is there any like strategies or things you do to intentionally build those relationships in the unit, whether it's you to them, with each other, with the brotherhood you talk about, those types of things?
Yeah. If anything else, it always starts with, you have to be your true version. Kids nowadays are going to look right past you if you're being anything other than yourself, right? Within building a relationship, you're trying to get these kids to open up to you, to trust you. The only way you can do that is you have to allow yourself also in a way to be vulnerable, right? So you can't sit up there, at the front and just always act like you have it all figured out. You got all the answers and all these things. You got to allow yourself to share some of your shortcomings with them, be real with them, to have those real conversations with them. And I think then organically over time, they start to build that trust with you, right? The other part of that is also building the trust, and how that's done. Trust is built by repeated experiences over time. So if you give kids a good experience, they learn to trust you a little bit more. If you're true to your word, they learn to trust you a little bit more. If you do what you say you're going to do, they learn to trust you a little bit more. If you're flaky, or you say this and this that, or you're throwing kids under the bus, or you're pointing fingers, or you're trying to pit guys against each other in the room in a negative way, you lose that trust. It really starts with just being open and honest with them. In terms of the strategy with it, always trying to find things to do with them outside the building. Obviously, like most guys do, go out to eat, go bowling. Like when I was at USF, I took the guys to an escape room one time and didn't know how it was going to go, and they loved it. It was an awesome time, right? You're trying to find stuff like that to do. But really, if anything else, I never start my meeting just straight into ball. Like usually I go in there, sometimes depending on the time, the first however many minutes, and we're just in there just hanging out, jokes, let them crack on each other, let them crack on me, whatever. Just trying to be able to keep it loose. And the more you do that, you build this environment in the classroom that's very relaxing, but still very professional and productive, right? Where they feel like, man, this is my spot. I can relax in here. I can be myself. They're not on, they're not super tense. Don't feel like they're walking on eggshells. It allows them to learn. And I think a lot of these things I've learned from my time being a teacher in the middle school level, trying to make it super comfortable in the room, right? But again, it starts with first and foremost just being your authentic self and then organically building that trust over time with the experiences that you provide for them. So whatever that looks like, hang out with them one-on-one, pull them into your office, just calling them and checking up on them, especially like when you're on break or whatnot, and just not even about ball, just trying to have those real conversations with them. And I try my best more than anything else to not always talk about ball. And honestly, there's been times we had meetings where we had serious conversations. And I knew I had to get to this film, but like something came up that was so serious. And I was like, you know what? This topic is actually way more important than these 6 clips that I got to watch. I'm going to get to the 6 clips, but they're asking me about whatever it may be. You name it, all of the issues that you could face as a 18 to 22-year-old in today's world. But I think you have to create those things and also allow those moments to creep in and not always just be like football.
Hey, coach, talking about trust in a room and not being flaky and everything having to be what it is, like you say what it is, and it actually being that. How does NIL affect that, like with you in the recruiting process now to where do you guys have to make sure that deal's locked in before you say it so that now they do trust you? I feel like that adds a huge component to the recruiting process there.
Yeah, I think has become such a big part of of college sports now, obviously. As coaches, we're really not involved with it. But I do think from the standpoint of knowing that the NIL is there for these players now, a lot of people always ask me, does it affect how you are with them? And I really, at the end of the day, think relationships are relationships no matter what. And pre-NIL, post-NIL, during NIL, like at the end of the day, the relationship piece is still what it is, right? And can always be as honest as you want to be. And my job as a coach is to always be honest with them with everything else. Even with the NIL stuff, I got nothing to do with it. I'm the one to talk to. But obviously in helping them, where I try to go about that stuff is just trying to guide them in terms of how to problem solve, right? If there's something going on in your life that you're unhappy with or whatnot, here is the proper way to go about it to be able to come to the solution that you want. But I stay away from all of that. The direct conversation when it comes to that.
I I feel like I would too. That doesn't sound like it would be a conversation.
Coach, I got a question. So you've coached for a while. Ryan's getting there. Donovan's on year 3, so this is going to go over his head. But
4.
How do you stay adaptable and shaping culture as players and times evolve? Do you find yourself doing it differently now than you did before? Sure, there's maybe some constants and things, but has your approach to today's kids or today's players been any different than when you first started?
Yes and no. I've always considered myself a player's coach. I care deeply about my players and the relationships I built with them, whether I coach them directly, the running backs, or whether they play on defense like Ryan did. Like I try to build a genuine relationship with them. So that part hasn't changed, right? I think where it has changed is just maybe the interactions. I've probably relaxed, become a little bit more relaxed in terms of not always super tense and like just on it and every day's 4th and 1, right? Which at one point I was like that. But I found the balance in being able to be more joyful and approachable while still maintaining a professional, I'm the coach side, and we got to get things done. The key, the key to your question is you have to constantly understand that kids are changing how they see things, their perspective, how they receive information, how they receive criticism. is different than it's been in the past. So your job is to make sure, as an educator, whether you're a football coach or you're a teacher, is to find ways to be able to break through to each individual kid a way where you can get the most out of them. The only way you can do that is you have to constantly be listening, directly or indirectly, to how they are. And it can't just be, this is how I've always done it. How you've always done it doesn't work today. Like, shoot, even how things were 10 years ago are different. Even how things were 6 years ago are different than today. So you have to constantly try to understand how kids operate the day, how their minds work, how they see things in order for you to best serve them. Because at the end of the day, that is what your job is to serve them.
Coach, when you look specifically like at your unit itself, I think, and its culture, but it's also more the specific football side. I think like when each position group like has their own kind of culture mantra, like offensive line, it's always we want to be maulers, we want to be a group that plays together. I think more recently, at least, and it's probably going to play running back, but more of that culture identity for running backs of being excited about pass protection. I think the best example I've seen is Travion Henderson. There's clips of him. He'd level a dude in pass protection, and he'd be just as excited as if he scored a touchdown, 70-yard bomb. How much in your unit is the emphasis put on for physical and discipline when it comes to pass protection? And is that part of like your guys' culture, specifically when it comes to football?
Yeah. So part of our culture, I have 4 core values, right? Eat is the first one. That's the standard on which everything is built. The second one is ball security. It's obvious. The third one is 100% pass protection. That 100% doesn't mean that fundamentally you're always right, but you better know who to block, and you better be able to block them to keep the quarterback clean and comfortable. If you can't pass pro, if you don't know who to block and you can't physically do it or you're not willing to do it, you will never play for me. Period. Point blank, period. That guy that we're protecting for, right? He has to be comfortable. He has to be clean. He's got to know he can trust you, that you're gonna keep him upright. So if you can't do it, first of all, you're not gonna play. Second of all, like the willingness to want to do it, to have the physicality to do it is the next piece of it. Even if the dude got 30 pounds on you, it all starts with the willingness to want to do it. And it goes with everything we do, even how we run the ball and how we play about the ball. Like, I want them to be able to, within the rules of the game, I repeat this, within the rules of the game, to physically hurt the opponent as much as you can. So you got to be willing to be able to stone a guy that's mugged up in the A gap. You got to be able to block the guy coming off the edge. And sometimes, honestly, they cut the D end for you. You got to block him. But whatever it is, you got to be willing to do it and have the mindset and the mental toughness to do that. So in our room, you don't block, you don't play. And that's been like that from day one. That's something I learned a long time ago. Matter of fact, I learned that when I played at Capitol. Right, my coach, my running back coach at the time, Coach Schoolfield, tell me all the time, Matt, you ain't blocked, you ain't gonna play. And honestly, I hated it my freshman, sophomore year. And then I got better at it by my senior year. I love pass pro. And it's gotten to the point now where I absolutely love it. And sometimes it's, to me, poetry when you have the perfect set on an A-gap blitzer and you stone them the exact right way and that neck snaps back and you're sitting there keeping them right. That stuff, to me, it excites me more than anything else. More than
no block, no rock. Coach,
That
that's
is
the
true.
fourth
That's
point.
true. That's
Said
true.
eat, ball security, 100% pass pro. What's your fourth core value?
Competitive excellence.
All right.
Which essentially is, I stole that from Coach Meyer. It's essentially being ready when your number is called upon. So it goes with the physical reps, the mental reps, understanding your assignment, and getting to the point where you can compete at level of excellence, knowing what you're supposed to be doing. So mental reps for me is crucial in everything that you do. As you guys know, you guys all coach. You're not going to get all the reps you need to be able to run the play in a game. You may only be able to get the ones to the right because the other 3 got it, but you got to be able to know what you're doing all the time. So essentially being assignment sound.
Hey, coach, for a lot of the kids nowadays, obviously the big things like going Division I, going D1, every kid wants to go D1. So actually, I would argue that every parent wants their kids to go D1 and gets them to think that way. But I would say for you, what would you tell a high school kid? What would you tell high school parents like what it takes to actually be a Division I kid?
First of all, before I answer that question, I'm going to say this. If you had the opportunity to go play college football, go play college football. When I played D3 ball, and I know Capital right now is struggling, but when I played, we were a top 5 team every single year. And we had guys that showed up and say, anybody can play D3 ball. This is easy. And they didn't make it more than one day at camp. So if you got a chance to go play, this is for anybody listening, if you got a chance to go play college football, go play. If you want to play and you got an opportunity to play, go play. With that being said, at our level, obviously, billion-dollar business, right? Division I college athletics. Yes, the physical piece is part of it. The talent is part of it, but really it's the everyday things. The amount of times I go into a high school and I'll ask anybody that I see in the school about somebody, hey, tell me about John Smith. It may be the janitor. It may be somebody like when I'm waiting at the front desk, waiting for coach to come up and grab me. It may be some random student there, but hey, John Smith, just tell me about it. Like I'm asking all these questions, right, about you as much as I possibly can. But you got to know that you're at a place where you're going to be asked. It's a full-time job. You're going to be asked every single day. You got to wake up at 6 or 6:30. You got to be in the building by 7 o'clock for treatment. You got to be checked in before 7:30 for breakfast check. And then you got meetings at 8 o'clock. And then between meetings and practice, you don't get done until about 11:30, 11:45. And then you got to be able to go to class and make sure that you're there on time and make sure that you're paying attention. And if you got an exam, you got to do well. And then you also got study table. And then after study table ends, you may have some more football obligations where you got to go back to another class. You also still got to eat. And at this point now, it's 7 to 8 o'clock. We still got to do homework. And then by that point, it's 9, 10 o'clock. So like you're busy throughout the day. So you got to be able to be somebody that can be accountable all the time and not just sometimes. A lot of times people think just because they're super talented, that's all it takes. You got to be able to have the intangibles to be able to be a grown man and be able to take care of your business when you're not involved with football. Also understanding that, and this is the really hard one to understand sometimes. Yes, your son may be a really good running back, right? But what separates him from the other thousands of running backs in the country in his class, right? That should give him the opportunity over somebody else. Sometimes I think people live in a vacuum say, but he's really good. And he was all state and he was Mr. High and all these things. I was like, sure. But like, you understand, there's a giant pool of people, right? And everyone likes what they like. At the end of the day, it's no different than, right? When you're dating, everybody likes what they like. And you can understand that recruiting is an imperfect science. I may love someone that you may think is just all right, and you will love someone that I may just think all right. And sometimes we both love the same one just as much. But it's imperfect with it, but you got to realize that you have to try to find ways to separate yourself in your craft, in what you do, how you carry yourself. And also at the end of the day, you have to be able to go where you are loved. Too many people are so hell bent on, I want to go be a Buckeye. And that's all they're thinking about. And then they're passing up all these other opportunities to be able to go play football. And then they miss out on opportunities. In today's day and age, especially in the age of the transfer portal, goes back to what I said earlier. If you got an opportunity to go play somewhere where somebody really wants you, take that opportunity. Because at the end of the day, it's about being able to go somewhere, if you especially you can go there in scholarship, to play, to have fun, to get your education, and then go from there.
I think that's really good, Coach. I think I want to end this episode. I was thinking, like, this is Donovan's baby. This was his episode he threw out about a month ago. He really wanted to do, and we saved it, and we thought this would be the perfect guest for it. Let's all share maybe one thing we do to build or develop a culture in our unit. Why don't you start? What's one thing you do with the trench mob,
Yeah.
right? In your 3-4 years that you think is special or something you'd share to somebody?
Yeah, I think, and done this two years now. I don't think I did it the first year, but I got this from my O-line coach at Miami, Coach Barnett, where, and it's cliche, like it's something crazy, but before the season started, he'd always bring us over to his house, meet his kids, like his wife, like play with his dogs, throw cornhole. Like he'd grill out. He wouldn't carry out something, like he wouldn't cater anything. He'd go on the grill. Like we'd sit out and relax and do whatever in the summer and just have a cookout with the group. And again, it's basic, it's cliche, but like that memory for me doing that every year, except for COVID year, was like just a core memory of football for me. And I wanted to carry that over with the O line. I think I saw more of it last year with the closer group, with guys that grew up together as seniors. And so I think, again, super basic, but I think just something like that is something I cherish, and I hope these guys cherish too, to help build some that culture and relationships.
Ryan, you don't really coach a unit anymore, but
That's
maybe something from back in the day.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking about. Is it's been a couple years. Dang, it's been more years than I like not coaching a unit. I would say like for our defensive unit, we obviously call it, we have our name for it. This is the dark side for us, and a lot of places do that, but we've done that since ODU times. Like we called
Mhm.
ourselves the Black Cloud there, and we kind of I kind of took that into our side over at Northland. And for me, I feel like my role right now where I'm at is managing the adults, like in the room, making sure that because we just hired 2 new guys and and Stout Youth know the wild experience I had with the
We've had some talks.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like with the first experience, like
Yeah.
hiring a guy and just a bunch of stuff going on. But now we've hired 2 really good guys and trying to get a culture with our coaching staff, setting up the meetings and making those guys have slogans for their group, right? Have a day that you're getting together with your guys one day in the off season every time, right? Or setting up at least a Zoom or maybe playing the video game with them. Like I tell our coaches all the time, do something rather than football, right? And so just managing the adults to make sure that they're doing that with their unit is, I guess, the role that I'm in now.
Yeah, I
I
think
do miss coaching a position though. I'm not gonna lie.
I
Like
think
I miss
sometimes I do too, like, just thinking back, like, sometimes I felt the most connected to our players when I was a position coach versus being a coordinator a little bit, where I'm like you, like, I show up, coordinator, I'm still building relationship with kids, but I'm handing out practice scripts, making sure we know what we're doing that day, like, worried about such the details, the execution, the plays, the script that sometimes it's hard for that, and I just to round it out, like, I think it all builds we're all talking about intentional ways you build relationships, and I wrote down we used to stretch in pods. Every unit would stretch in their own group, and I miss that, the
Mhm.
genuine conversations that created every practice, and it's something I'm gonna talk about maybe us
Mhm.
doing again next year. But I used to have, like, questions of the day. Like, we would be in those pods, and we would just have a question of the day. It'd be favorite movies, superpowers, whatever. Like coach said, we would just talk about things that weren't football, and I just think you add in all those conversations across the whole year. I just think like how special that was and how close those groups were together and how that probably translated probably some success when it really mattered, when it really came down to football.
Yeah.
No, I miss the times with my own group, just be trolling with those guys or having them in just film. Like for me now, it's just I'm full team. I'm in front of the full team every time that I talk, or I'm in front of the full team every time I talk. I don't get no position group time really, besides when I go down there and yell at them. So I guess that's pretty much the only times I get position. Coach Merritt, what about you?
And
I
I
do.
have
No, I do. I guess the one thing I didn't mention that I would mention too. I do think having your family involved is crucial, especially your kids. Like, especially now my boys are getting older. Like they know, and for them to see you as a father, number one, but then also involving your kids with it too. Sometimes I have my kids around. Like, sometimes I'm on FaceTime. Like there's every now and then, depending what it is. Like my kid FaceTimes me on his. He wants to FaceTime in the morning after he started school, and I may have just started my meeting, but I'll take the FaceTime call, say what's up then, turn the phone around, let them wave to everybody. But even just there, it's still like them getting to see you, not as a coach, but as a person, which again makes that connection stronger. Like at the end of the day, you want them to see you as somebody that they trust, that's a mentor, that's not just, oh, this guy teaches me X's and O's and tells me how to do drills and yells at me if I don't go hard enough. But you're trying to just build that constantly, just to be able to connect them with your family. They is a big part of building the culture in there, because at the end of the day,
yeah.
building culture is starting with the foundation of trust.
I tell you
No,
what, one of the things that
I
woke
love
me
that
up as a
about
player
nice
was
out. You
this.
got it.
One of the things that woke me up as a player was the first time I heard the talk from a college coach about, hey, this is how I put food on the table for my family and keep the roof over the head. And talk about a maturing moment from the high school to college where it's a transition in that relationship. And you realize, man, like it ain't about me sometimes or how I'm feeling, like how much this means to different people. That was a big, I still remember hearing that conversation for the first time like that.
No, I
Mhm.
think that's is super important. I take Xavier every Saturday morning to our film session and like all our and I think it's important for him to see that, but also and our kids to see me as that. But it's important for me to see our kids in that kind of realm. Like our kids, obviously being in the city, right? Like the outside people have a perception about our kids, and we all know that. But for us, me, I at least, and all our coaches, like we all bring our kids to film on Saturday morning. That's our thing, and we get them donuts. They sit there and watch it with our like older guys and play with them, and watching our kids, like our athletes in high school, turn into a whole different person because a little kid is around is probably the coolest thing I think for me as a dad and as the head football coach for them. It just changes your whole perspective.
I like that idea. Coach, man, we appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy guy, but we really do appreciate you taking some time for us. I think a lot of guys will get some good points out of this, so we appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me on, man. It's a good time. Good to see some old faces. And,
Coach, what's the hat stand for? I have to ask.
Quick backstory. So I was actually born in Germany, Frankfurt, Germany, and born and raised over there. I lived there till I was 11. Not military related. My mom was an international student, went to Wittenberg, met my dad. Dad's from Detroit. They got married, and then she wanted to go back to Germany. So I'm born in just outside of Frankfurt, Germany. I'm dual citizen, but I'm very proud of my German heritage. And this hat stands for Frankfurt, Maine, which is where I'm from. So there's two Frankfurts in Germany. There's Frankfurt that nobody cares about, somewhere in the east, and then there's Frankfurt, Maine. Maine is the river that it's on, the Main River. So that's just what that stands for. It's actually an Eintracht Frankfurt hat, which is the club team there in Frankfurt.
No, I love it.
I got this when I was there last summer. I love it. It's simple. It's quiet. I like being incognito anyways.
I remember messaging you. I was living through this dude's story. He was explaining all of Germany, taking pictures of everything. It was actually one of the coolest things to follow on someone's Facebook story. I messaged you like, this is actually great. I've never seen Germany or
I remember
anything.
that. I randomly did it. I was like in the parking lot that Sunday, I remember, and I was like, oh, I'll post this on Instagram and see what happens. The feedback I got on it after was cool. It was like, I've been since then. But I have a plan. Like the next time when I go for a while, I want to do something like actually plan it out. I have a step for step what to do. But then that time, I was just randomly doing stuff. I was sitting there, oh, this would be cool. Oh, this would be cool to share. But I didn't realize how much people got out of that. It was pretty cool. So it's a cool place, man. If you've ever had a chance to go to Germany, it's a beautiful place. North, you get more of the sea. In the middle, it's like wine country. You go a little bit south, you in the mountains. It's beautiful.
No, thank you, Coach. We appreciate you, man. All of our listeners, make sure you download, subscribe, help us out, contact all of our sponsors for any of the needs you guys have. But thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for the support. Coach Merritt, good luck this season. Who do you got? Stout, end it, right? You have to end it by asking who they got first.
Yeah, who we got week 1, Coach?
Notre Dame, Sunday night at Hard Rock.
Hey, Coach,
they gonna reprint the old T-shirts from back in the day.
I don't know about that, but it's gonna be an electric atmosphere.
All right, good luck, Coach.
Appreciate
I appreciate that.
Right.